Hey, it's Missy.
And it's April.
And this is Sheela Na Gig.
Sheela Na Gig. Sheela Na Gig. Sheela Na Gig.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for listening. We're so glad you're here. And of course, Sheela Na Gig is a podcast that gives a shout out to amazing women. Sometimes it's somebody you've heard of before. We want to give them a little bit more light. It may be somebody you haven't heard of that you should definitely know about and hear about. These are women who empower us, inspire us. So we are presenting our own Sheilas in this podcast. And again, we're just delighted that you're here with us today. Hi, April.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. Missy, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. We have an interview today.
We do.
I love our interviews.
I'm especially excited about this one.
I know.
Because I'm a little bit of a freak when it comes to ballet.
You are a ballet freak.
Yeah, I am.
Your daughter did ballet.
Classical ballet. Right. And my mother and my sister and my father and I were all obsessed with ballet. Whenever we celebrated something special, we would go to the ballet. I grew up in New York, and the big thing was to go to Lincoln Center. And I saw Baryshnikov dance when he was young enough to do those dramatic leaps. And I thought I would just die and go to heaven.
Wow.
Just, watching that on stage. So anything ballet related excites me.
Yeah.
And just for the record, I did not push my daughter into ballet. She picked it. And my mother and my sister and I were just like, oh my goodness, thank goodness.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. My daughter did a Dory. Japanese dance from the time she was 3 to the time she was 5, which she really loved, but it was not ballet. Ballet is amazing.
Ballet is amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's never been her thing, but that's
we have an amazing Sheela
we do. And I just, you may have guessed, we're going to be talking about some ballet today. But I just want to, I'm going to give a little intro here because there is an amazing production that is returning to the Heritage Square Museum after the devastating Eaton fire. And it's the adventure into the classic tale by Louisa May Alcott for the first chapter of the Little Women Immersive Ballet Experience. Join Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy inside the Victorian houses of Los Angeles as they tell their story of sisterhood, love, loss, and family. Meet all the characters up close, go to the immersive walking tour of Heritage Square Museum, enjoy seasonal spring desserts, refreshments, and join the cast for Victorian dancing at the end of the evening. This will be a family experience you won't want to miss. And I want to let you know that we are so excited to welcome Pasadena choreographer and director of this particular production, Emma Andres. So welcome, Emma. Hello. Thank you for being here.
Hi. Good to be here.
Yes.
We're so excited. And just a few things about Emma. You graduated cum laude from the University of California, Irvine, or UCI, with your BFA in dance choreography. And I can't wait to hear more about your experimental concert choreography that you've been creating for proscenium. Am I saying this right? Proscenium?
Yeah, proscenium stages.
Yes, and art galleries and intimate black box spaces and even film screen dance. And your style isn't classical, as I understand it. It's kind of mixed. And why don't I stop talking and hear more about this exciting production and your very, very innovative work?
Thank you. Yeah. So the style that I am particularly known for is contemporary ballet, but contemporary can still classify classical ballet. Contemporary just means that it's current. So, traditional work that kind of takes contemporary elements and brings them together to enhance a story. So Little Women Ballet is my company, and Little Women started in 2023, where we started at Heritage Square Museum, just creating like a promotional video to help boost our mission, which is to inspire more ballets about women and their stories. Growing up, I did dance since the age of 4. So growing up all the way through college, ballet was my main emphasis. So growing up, I learned all about the stories that are told through ballet, and I found them to be very beautiful, but a lot of them do not look kindly on female figures in ballet.
That's true.
Yeah, and so a lot of the stories end up being that the main heroine dies or saves a man from dying, or, there's a lot of storytelling that does not highlight female characters in ballet. And so what my hope was with this was to kind of inspire a movement towards more ballets that are inspiring and can relate to women in a positive way. And I felt that Little Women was a great way to do that. And what's really special is we have 4 very unique personalities in the 4 sisters. So you really get to show an array of characters and an array of female heroines through this story. So from doing that promotional video, we were asked to come do a full immersive experience live performance at Heritage Square. And so we've actually been doing that for the past, we just celebrated our 2nd year. This is our 7th immersive experience that we've done.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
How cool. Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about the immersive experience at the Heritage Museum and what that is like when people come in? Because it sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so it's a really unique experience because a lot of immersives are getting very popular right now, but there's not a lot of dance immersive experiences. And so this is a direct way for an audience to experience ballet very up close and personally. So when you arrive at the event, we check you in, we make these little pin bows that we put on your outfit. We can only have about 100 people at the event because the Victorian houses can only about have 25 people in them at one time. And so we split you into groups. And so based on what group you're in for the evening, you'll have a colored bow that represents your group. We usually have 5 groups. So we have Jo, which is a burgundy bow, Meg, which is a pink bow, Beth, which is a green bow, Amy, which is a blue bow, and then group Lori, which is a navy bow. And what that is it actually matches the dresses of the sisters. So when you walk into the space, you'll see that those characters have the same color as your outfit for your group. And you are led by a narrator who is a character from the story. So you have 5 different characters from the story leading these groups around. And each of those characters has a special relationship to that specific sister that you are in the group of. And so everybody, when they come, gets a different kind of story that is told to them in the perspective of that character that they're being led around by. To give you an example, one of our narrators is Aunt March. So she'll lead you around. And so you see different vignettes of the story in each of the 5 Victorian houses at Heritage Square. And so you all see them in different ways. Every person in a different group gets a different route. And so you see a different telling of the story, even though you are seeing the same material, it's told in a different way.
So you could go 5 different times, right? And see
and get a different perspective.
a different perspective.
Yes.
And when you talk about these stories, are they told through dance or is there any dialogue?
So the narrators do talk to you. And so they're kind of leading you around, telling you the story, again, in their own perspective. But then for the immersive, because it's an immersive and we want to immerse you in the story and really tell it from different modes of art, even though you are being told the story through dance, you're guided by the narrator. So the narrator will, not everybody knows the story of Little Women, and it is a relatively complicated story.
Yes.
And so our narrators give a little brief summary of what is about to occur in each of the houses. And so the houses are about 15 minutes each, and they tell different important parts of the story. And the thing that was really interesting is so this is our 7th time doing this, but this is only our 3rd Spring Immersive we've had. It actually is broken up into 3 separate shows: a Spring Immersive, an Autumn Immersive, and a Winter Immersive. And when you see them all together, you get the whole Little Women story.
Okay, so this is just a part of it,
Yeah.
the one that's coming up. Okay.
So is there the opportunity to see the whole story?
Yes. So one of the ways is to go to all 3 of the immersives. And again, those are themed seasonally. So you get a spring immersive, we had a fall immersive, and then a winter immersive. So everything is kind of tied into the seasons that way. One of my biggest goals for this project was to create a full-length ballet. And we actually did that in December of 2024 at the Wilshire Ebell Theater. So we created our first full-length ballet of Little Women, which was a 2-hour sit in a proscenium stage, you sit in the audience, full-length ballet.
So more of a traditional ballet experience.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so the immersives were kind of meant to help us gain traction in order to kind of get people to know who we were, to kind of help boost us to this full-length ballet.
Got you. Very, very cool. I know you do many things too, Emma. We always laugh because whenever we talk about our Sheilas, I swear to God, it's never like they do one thing. It's always like they do 50 things. Always.
And you wonder how in the heck one female gets so much done.
Yes. So if I'm not mistaken, you are both an artistic director and choreographer. You have been a studio manager, a dance teacher. You do marketing, freelance graphic design, freelance choreography, a social media content creator, and you also do visual and digital art. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, I guess that's a very broad sense of all the things I do. I actually recently started a job, actually a week after we premiered the full length at UC Irvine. So I am now the department analyst for the UC Irvine dance department. So I am back.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. And I've been dying to know, are you the brainchild of this ballet, of the Little Women Ballet?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Where did your inspiration come from? How did you come up with this?
Well, I actually was very much intrigued by Greta Gerwig's Little Women that she did in 2019.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really loved how she centered on not only the women's stories, but on how she tied Louisa May Alcott's story into Joe's story. And so that was just a very inspiring movie for me. And it made me want to, I had actually never read Little Women as a child. So then I read the book many times.
How old are you at that point? Like, she's very young, by the way. We're looking at her right now. And
I believe you're 25.
So I was 21 when I read it. I am 26.
Okay. You look like you look like a very young woman.
Yes,
I would not be surprised if you were
time.
like 17, honestly.
I actually just got engaged this evening. Or not this evening. This Saturday I got engaged. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's so exciting. Congratulations. And she's old enough to get married. So
I know.
my gosh.
I get that all the time.
I'll bet you do. And you know what? Enjoy it while you can. I'm just saying, because I used to get that too when I was your age, and I don't get that anymore.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, right around 40, it just kind of ended.
A youthful look.
I would say, yeah, I'm 40. And I would wait, and there would be nothing.
Yeah.
And I'd say, no. It's over. It's over. That's over. But that's amazing. So obviously, yes, congratulations. And obviously you have been doing this, you said, since you were 4. So this has been something you have been, obviously an interest in dance and storytelling and the visual arts for a long time. So this is that signature project, though, that really, it seems, really grabbed you, correct? Like reading the book, seeing the movie, that kind of thing that kind of led you to say, wait a second, I think I want to do something with this, right?
Yeah, and so I love how the girls were captured in the 2019 movie. And I ended up watching an analysis video on YouTube about how because there's 4 different Little Women movies that have come out, like big blockbuster movies, but there's been lots of different, renditions of Little Women and so many musicals, plays, TV series. But what I really loved was that this analysis basically said that the 4 blockbuster movies are very telling of the time period they were created in. And so that you can see that in how they're created and who played the main character and all of that. And what I felt was a great opportunity was that this story hadn't been told through ballet. hadn't been told through dance in this kind of context. And I felt like this was a very interesting and new way to interpret the story
Absolutely.
through movement, and through, this kind of character adaptation. I really wanted the dancers to not only fully understand their characters, but also to kind of live vicariously through them. So, all of our rehearsals, we're not just learning material, learning choreography, we're talking about the characters and we're talking about how we are developing that storyline through movement, right? Because every moment, every gesture says something about those characters. We don't have dialogue to give. In the immersives, it's a little bit different in that we do have someone kind of prompting the audience on how they should see this certain part or, what they're about to see, right? But in the full length, everything is done, just through movement. So it's very important that every little moment is very distinct and detailed. And so we're talking about that throughout the whole, rehearsal process.
Sure. And with the ballet, are you bringing obviously some period dancing in with that ballet at the same time? Is that how that works?
Yeah, one thing that was very important to me when we were first creating the first Spring Immersive was we finished it with Meg's Wedding, and that's where Louisa May Alcott wrote Little Women in two parts. She wrote the first part that ended with Meg's wedding, and she was a little bit of a spitfire. So she said, I'm not going to publish anything else unless it does well. So she published the first half, and then it did really well, and she published the second half. So for our Spring Immersive, because it was our first one, it ends with Meg's Wedding. So in Meg's Wedding, each of, in traditional ballet, there are these kind of larger sections that happen. They can be up to like 15 to 20 minutes that are like these larger grand finales. And so all of our immersives end with a grand finale. And so in the spring one, it is Meg's Wedding. And so in Meg's Wedding, because it was a kind of a traditional Victorian wedding, I wanted there to be Victorian dancing. So in the first part of the wedding, you'll see the dancers go into a big circle and they do group dancing and polka and all of that. And then actually at the end of every immersive we have a Victorian dance specialist who comes and brings all of the audience out, and they're welcome to dance with the cast members doing Victorian dancing. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. April, we'll have to do that when we go.
Well, I think we're going to the full ballet, though.
Oh, are we?
We're not
I think you're coming to both.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Good.
Good. Yes. We're super excited. Now, you're originally from Pasadena, is that correct?
I am.
Did you study at the Pasadena Ballet or?
Yeah, so I went to Pasadena Civic Ballet from the age of 4 up to 18, and then I went to UC Irvine.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And I noticed that your dancers range in age from teeny tiny little ones to seniors.
Yes.
And so did you cast these dancers, and did you pull them from the Pasadena Ballet, or how did that whole thing come together?
Yeah, I did. My production advisor, her name is Diane DeFranco Brown. She is the one of the directors of Pasadena Civic Ballet. And then she's also the director of Artist Plus Productions, which is our fiscal sponsor. And so she has really helped me develop a relationship with all these people through my, being brought up at Pasadena Civic Ballet. Like our grandfather Lawrence and our Aunt March were very close to Pasadena Civic Ballet. Aunt March was my late ballet teacher's wife. So these are all people that are kind of already a part of my community. And then all the little girls who actually play, we have 4 little girls that play small versions of the sisters. They are all students of mine. And these are students who really come in every day and show me how much they want to be there and how hard they want to work. And I just wanted to really give them an opportunity to kind of grow in a character and grow in a kind of a professional setting.
That's so cool. Yeah. And are 2 of the cast members sisters? Is that right?
We have several sisters. So we have the original Jo, Her name's Sophia Moritz, and the original Beth, Kat Moritz, are sisters. And then the original Meg, her name's Rebecca Tkach, and then little Meg, Kira Tkach, are sisters as well.
Oh, that was sweet.
Yeah, and actually originally our original Amy and then what our Daisy, because Meg has two kids, Daisy and Demi, they were sisters as well.
Oh, that's so cool that it's keeping it in the family, you know?
Yes.
I was also really touched by the fact that the story takes place back east in Concord, Massachusetts, but you really used, and I love Pasadena and the Heritage Museum and just sort of the historical places in that area. And you really used Heritage Square, which kind of is reminiscent of that Victorian Concord, Massachusetts vibe, to create these immersives.
Yeah, it lends itself very well.
Yeah. Did that naturally come to you? How did that whole setting evolve? Because I was really touched by that.
Yeah, I actually was suggested that by a mentor of mine. Her name's Jackie Kopzak. She works for the Gloria Kaufman School of Dance. She's the assistant dean there. And she was a great inspiration to me in helping me find venues that would be appropriate to do Little Women.
Sure.
Fantastic.
And so when she suggested Heritage Square and the moment I saw it, it was just very clear that this was the right place to do it. It completely takes you out of the current Los Angeles landscape and puts you right into Concord, Massachusetts, which I thought was very important. But also it's so touching because, you know, we aren't in Concord, Massachusetts, but we are in a place that has a lot of rich history. And so to be able to kind of incorporate that into the show, also with us being Pasadena natives and California natives, to kind of celebrate that history was just such a wonderful addition to the show as well. Something that like I didn't even originally intend, but after, you know, it came out, you know, and how it was affecting everybody, it was really nice to, you know, see that was how it ended up.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to move over to like West Adams next? Is that the plan? That'd be another great neighborhood, right?
We've been looking around for different places, but we're kind of trying to figure out what our next big move is. We're not 100% sure yet. We're workshopping it.
Yeah. Well, look at West Adams. I think that would be a good one for sure.
Oh yeah.
I have some connections over there. Let me know.
And I have to ask, how did the Eaton fires impact the production? And can you share a little bit about that?
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. So my parents lost their home in the Eaton.
Oh my gosh, Emma, we're so sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Was it your childhood home?
It was my childhood home.
Oh gosh.
So I stored everything in their garage. So that was kind of our storage space.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so luckily, Pasadena Civic Ballet has been really generous. They've donated a bunch of studio space to us, costumes. So some of the costumes that I had returned to them obviously are okay, but anything that we had accumulated over the 2 years that we had, you know, put together and called our own, burned down in the fire. So it was very devastating. And to be honest, I was so caught up in the emotional aspect of my family home that I, you know, it was 2 days later before I realized that, oh my gosh, everything was there, you know, like, so that's been pretty devastating. And, you know, trying to help my parents kind of recover from that.
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, that's how we lost everything in the Eaton fire.
That is rough. That is really rough. But you know what beautiful things can be created from those embers, as we're starting to see now with something like this, you know, which is just wonderful.
We had such a supportive community. We had so many people come out and donate to us. And, you know, we got so much fabric donated.
Oh, good.
We also have some wonderful seamstresses who are helping us make some dresses. So the Meg's wedding dress for the immersive and the full length are made by Natalie Meyer, who is one of our donors. And so we also have a wonderful seamstress, Laura Paskevich, who's making flower girl dresses. So we have a good community coming together. And so that's really what's made this next Spring Immersive possible. And that's kind of why we call it our homecoming, because, we just were there, but like there's been a lot that's happened in the last like
Yeah.
4
Things
months.
have changed quite a bit. Right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Being able to come
wonderful.
back is really important to us.
Yeah. Well, tell our listeners how they can get tickets, when the dates are, what they should know, please.
What they should see when, because
yeah, we're going on the 23rd, Friday night, the 23rd. We're so excited.
yes, we can't wait.
Yeah, so the tickets can be found on our website, littlewomenballet.com. They can also be found on any of our social media, which is just at Little Women Ballet. And if you are interested, we're doing the full length at the Pasadena Playhouse, June 20th and 21st.
Oh my goodness.
We got to go to that too.
And my daughter is graduating from college. She did 10 years of classical ballet. And when I saw this, I was so excited. I wanted to bring her, but she's still in school. But we can take her to Pasadena Playhouse.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yes. We are just so thrilled to have had the chance to talk with you and hear about this amazing immersive experience. You had said something too in one of the, I think, interviews, just that it's interesting to see people's reaction to the interaction with the dancers after they perform, and then suddenly they're right there talking to you. Is that, it must be kind of an interesting dynamic, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Everyone really, I think it brings everyone closer though. It's less about, you're the audience, we're the dancers.
Right.
Especially because also in the houses, you're not 2 feet from the dancers. So very close to everything, and you get to be a part of it. And that's why we wanted to create the immersive, because then the audience is really involved in the story.
Sure.
And there's wonderful photographs and footage, I believe, video on the website about these immersives. And it really just shows you how your storytelling pulls the audience in a very unsuspecting, surprising way.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And the best part is that the dancers really feel committed to it. And you can feel that through as an audience member, the commitment that the dancers have to, creating a story.
Absolutely. Yeah. What sister do you relate to the most, you think?
So I relate to Meg the most. I'm the oldest sister. I have a taste for the finer things. But I end up playing Amy a lot.
Okay.
I really enjoy her movement quality, but I am also an artist, so I also feel connected to that as well.
Sure.
But it's very interesting to see the dancers that play those characters, because they end up, a lot of them end up latching on to that character. Like our original Jo feels like Jo is an extension of herself.
Sure. That happens. Yeah.
And to just directly tie what I was saying about how ballet is completely interwoven into the story, each of the characters' femininity or lack thereof is related to how they wear point shoes. So Meg and Amy wear point shoes the whole time. They're more feminist characters. Jo is only on flat, so she never wears point shoes. There is actually one point in the full length where she wears point shoes, but she throws them off stage because she's not going to conform.
Apropos. Yeah. Very apropos.
And then Beth actually deteriorates through points. So in the beginning, we see her wearing point shoes, but by the end, right before she dies, she's barefoot. So we see her slowly decline.
We use the artistry of ballet shoes as an expression of each character's evolution or personality.
Yeah. We felt it was like a subtle way to kind of tie in the characters in a very distinct way that if you notice it, it's very interesting and kind of ties in the whole idea of ballet being a mode of storytelling for Little Women.
You had mentioned also something about just sort of ballet and the image of women, in the art of ballet. And can you elaborate on that? It was something that we just had a very preliminary conversation about before we officially began. And I'm wondering if you can say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, instead of this story being about a woman turning into a ghost, as we see in many ballet stories, or a woman dying for her love, or, a woman saving her love from death in her death. This story tells four very distinct female stories. And so through each one, we're not trying to remove, love interests that they have, or things that are, things that still happen to women, but that are not as, feminist per se. But we're trying to show normal stories that happen to women, that have happened to women through dance, in a way that's still magical and mystical, like ballet, but without creating this idea of, women in a secondary role or a minor role. And an example of this is that we have this pas de deux at the end, or close to the end of the ballet, called Under the Umbrella. And really it's a pas de trois between the Friedrich Bear, who is Joe's love interest, Joe herself, and then the umbrella. In the story of Little Women, Louisa May Alcott has Joe choose Friedrich under an umbrella. And I had talked about how Louisa May Alcott didn't actually want her to end up with anybody, because Joe is a reflection of herself, and Louisa May Alcott did not end up with somebody. And so she had kind of made it this almost like this kind of hysterical, unmatchable relationship, where it's someone who is much older than Joe, that she doesn't necessarily, it wouldn't make sense for them to be together or what have you like that. But I really wanted it to be that we were showing that not only Joe is going to choose writing for herself, she's not only going to choose a passion for herself, but she's also going to choose, if she wants to have love. And so that pas de deux really shows Joe choosing love for herself, rather than in that, what would have been that time, Joe having to pick somebody because of, a societal norm or a marital status, but really more about it being that she wants to be with Friedrich because she loves Friedrich and because Friedrich understands her.
Right. Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Totally. Yeah. Well, is there anything else people should know about you or the production before we wrap up? Again, it's been so lovely to talk to you, Emma, and I'm so excited to see the show, as I'm sure other people will be excited to see it too.
I would just say the cast puts a tremendous amount of work into the show, and I definitely think it is worth it to come see and worth to come support.
Absolutely. And we see that it's great for all ages.
All ages.
Yes.
I think there is a disclaimer that there is some extended periods of walking and stairs and that type of thing. So it's not ADA accessible, correct?
Yes. So because Heritage Square is a historical site, it is unfortunately not ADA accessible. So, and because you are walking from house to house, there are long periods of walking. So we just tell people that it is not the best if you're in a wheelchair or, you're unable to get around.
Yes. But if you are, wear good shoes and soak it up.
Wear good shoes and soak it up. That's right. That's right. And maybe brush up on your Little Women before you go.
Right.
Or not.
Or not.
Or not.
Well, yes. And the narrators will help you through the story if you don't know the story.
Right, and plan on coming to see it 5 times. It's kind of like going to the Hearst Castle, you know what I mean? You get a different tour every time you go. So that's kind of like, this Little Women ballet as well, I would say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and learning more about this ballet. We can't wait, as we've said a few times, to see it.
Yes, we're so excited. And one more time, where can everybody get tickets?
LittleWomenBallet.com.
LittleWomenBallet.com. Get your tickets. And it is, tell us when it is.
The immersive is May 23rd through the 25th. Okay. And the full-length ballet is June 20th through the 21st.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely, April and I will be there, like I said.
We will be there.
And we look forward to hopefully seeing you there, Emma. It'll be great.
Yes, I will be there. You will see me.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time, or we'll talk to you next time on Sheela Na Gig. Thanks. Have a great night. Bye.